to Meeples on Meeples, episode 61. I'm Adam.
I'm Brian.
Andrew.
Before we get into our game of the week this week, as usual, we'd like to invite you over to our website, meeplesonmeeples.com, as well as our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, our Twitter account, Pinterest. Basically, if there's a social media site out there, we probably have an account. Go over and join us, start following us, and you'll be able to see our weekly videos.
This week's game of the week is Boss Monster. The basic premise is you're taking those old 8-bit video games and you're kind of flipping it on its head. You are now the boss of the level. You're the bad guy and you're trying to kill the heroes. So at the beginning of the game, everyone is randomly dealt a boss monster. You have a certain amount of XP, and your XP kind of determines player order at certain points through the game.
Yep.
So for instance, this monster, the bottom corner, is worth 800 experience points. So that's my boss monster, and basically you're building a dungeon for heroes to lure heroes in and to hopefully kill them. This is the gist of it. And so you'll have a hand of cards, and at the beginning you take 5 room cards and 2 spell cards, and you have to discard 2 cards, so you have a hand of 5. And you're going to build your to the left of your monster. Your dungeon builds out this way. There's 2 types of rooms. If you look at them here, and we'll have pictures, of course, that Andrew will insert here, but they have a silver symbol on the top or a gold symbol. You cannot just put a gold symbol down. You actually have to place that on top of a regular room.
That's an advanced room.
That's an advanced room. The silver symbol is a regular trap or monster room that you can play first. So you decide what room you're going to play, and everybody chooses the room and puts it face down next to their character, and once everybody's done that, you reveal at the same time. Now, some of them might give you a special ability saying, once it's built, do this, blah, blah, blah. So you do that, and if 2 people have something that says, when you build this room, then the person, again, with the highest XP gets to kick their special ability in first. All of the rooms and your monster have these little symbols. So as I build my dungeon to the left here, you'll see that I have 2 swords, 3 ankhs, because some of them have more than 1 symbol, and 1 book. That comes into play when you have the heroes come out. You flip as many heroes at the beginning of each part of each round as there are players playing. So 4 heroes for a 4-player game, 3 for a 3, you get the idea. And the heroes are the basic classes you find in those old video games and like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. You got a fighter who is swords. He is going to be drawn to the dungeon that has the most sword symbols. So if I have 2 swords, so you add them all together, and nobody else has 2 or more, he would be coming to my dungeon to fight. This one, the clerics, go for the ankhs, the religious symbols. I have 3 ankhs, if nobody can beat that. So you might get multiple heroes coming to yours, or they might go to another dungeon, and you kind of queue them up ready to go.
And they go left to right through a dungeon like they would, on a side-scrolling 8-bit game.
Yep, they start here, and they work their way towards you, the boss monster. They have, the next thing you're going to want to look at is the hearts. That's how much damage they need to take before they're dead. And if they don't die somewhere along the way to you, then they injure you. So the gist of it is this fighter is worth 8 hearts. I can do, the rooms will have hearts too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And sometimes they say like the next room gets a bonus of +2 if it's a trap room or things like that. But if I don't have 8, by the time he gets to me, then he does 1 blood or 1 damage to me because he has 1 blood drop there.
And as you have your heroes going through your dungeon, you have spells that you can play to help you. Like, for instance, there's a cave-in one. So if you have an 8 and you don't have enough out here built to take care of the 8, you can cave in 1 room when the hero's in that room. It kills him, it destroys the room, but then you get credit for that hero. At the same time, the other players can play spells on you too. For instance, there's a fear spell. So again, as the hero's going through your dungeon, another player might play fear on him, which basically sends him back out of your dungeon and back into town. So it's a way that they can kind of try to screw you before you score a point by killing the hero.
Because what happens is the heroes go through, like I said, I could not kill this one, so let's say I don't play the cave-in, and so he gets here, and I've only done 6 damage to an 8 hero. He hurts me. Like I said, he does 1 blood point. You only have 5 hit points, then you're removed from the game. And if you have a lot of heroes queued up and they have a lot of hit points, we haven't had that happen yet, actually, in like 6 games, but you could get removed from the game. If you manage to kill him with the spell, or your rooms just naturally have enough powers and nobody can stop you and screw you over with a spell card, then you flip him over and you get a little coin that you can kind of tuck under here.
It's called a soul. You have to collect.
Soul, that's right. And when you have 10 souls, you win the game. So 5 damage, you're dead, or the first one to 10 souls wins. That's pretty much it. if you destroy a room, like he said, do a cave-in, you basically remove that room and then everything else slides over. If you decide you don't like a room, you can, any silver room, like a regular room, you can build on top of that.
Another regular room.
And you can stack them up, so that way you're not stuck with the same dungeon through the whole game. But basically, that's it. It's just move the heroes through, everybody builds a new room, maybe draws some new cards and new spells, more heroes are laid out, they're drawn to certain dungeons, and everybody kind of takes their turn playing their heroes through and throwing spells at each other to screw each other over.
Yeah, it's intended to be a very quick game. I think 20 to 30 minutes is what they recommend.
Yeah, long game would be 30.
Yeah. Why don't we start out with components like we usually do? Not a lot to this game. I'll start off. I really like kind of the whole art style, starting with the box of the game. I mean, the box of the game goes back to the old NES, 8-bit boxes when you would buy a, Mario, or you get Duck Hunt that came with the system.
They even faked the little Nintendo seal of quality.
I think that's
awesome.
actually about the size of a Nintendo. Like a cartridge would come in that box.
I mean, it's
pretty close.
They did
NES,
a really good job, giving the feel with the art style, starting with the box and then going into the cards themselves. A lot of the art you'll see pulls from games. I think there's like a Metroid type card. There's a lot of classic monsters like Dracula, Medusa.
These little stone guys here look like Double Dragon.
Yeah.
If you recognize that old 8-bit game.
This one says King Croca.
Oh, yeah. It's
Koopa, maybe?
So they do a lot of stuff like that, and I think they do it really well. It's just a really good art style. The cards are pretty good quality. I mean, I don't know what else you can really say about them. It's a pretty basic game.
I mean, it's a card game. Even the instruction booklet's kind of laminated a little bit, so...
And I don't know if you remember, but original NES instruction booklets were that same goofy, huge shape, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Laid out that way.
Because, with 4 buttons on your controller, you needed a book that had 46 pages.
Pretty much. The one thing I don't like about the quality of the cards is they're all black all the way to the edges, and so as they get handled and played with, they get nicked up and the white starts to show underneath. I would suggest possibly sleeving them if you decide you like this game. There are a lot of cards, so you'll need a lot of sleeves, but you're going to want to protect them because that's all that the game consists of.
The only downfall of that, I don't know if they would all fit in there if they were sleeved.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight fit.
It's a tight fit in there.
This is true.
But I mean, that's all the game comes with. It's box, your rule book, and this set of cards here. But I don't think it really needs a whole lot more.
There are expansions available, which is nice.
Exactly, yep.
And you're right. Now you're really going to overflow the box because they didn't make that box any bigger.
But I don't know what else we can really say from components. I mean,
no, it's pretty basic.
It's a card game, so it's pretty basic.
I want to talk about strategy. First off, I would say major strategy is when you see the heroes flipped out. If you have, you're gonna because you get to see your heroes before you have to play a room. If you don't think that there's gonna be a chance that you can beat him, don't even build a room. I mean, just plain and simple.
Or build something that doesn't match.
Or don't. If he's a sword, for instance, a fighter, do not build a sword room because you'll have more swords.
But if that's all you have in your hand, you don't have to build one either, which is super nice.
I think there's something to be said for early in the game, kind of trying to build a varied dungeon and not really going for those heroes right away, because even though they're low, some of them are 4 hit points or 6 hit points. I mean, this last game we played, my first round, I took 3 damage right away because I just so happened to have the symbol that flipped up. So it's...
And they can keep queuing up in town, quote unquote, in town over by the draw pile. So you don't necessarily have to draw the heroes; they don't get discarded. They just keep lining up, waiting to find a dungeon.
There was at one point where I almost had I had to take 6 in.
Yeah,
I ended up actually beating them just barely, but that could have been the end of the game for me right there.
Another strategy, which I apologize for not mentioning in the rules, is you have a special ability. We forgot that. That's
true. Yes.
Once you hit 5 rooms, and remember, you can keep covering up. So it might be a while before you build your 5th room, and you have all 5 rooms laid out, which is the maximum number of rooms you can have. Each boss has a level up power. And you can only use it once, and you have to use it if you choose to use it then.
Yep.
And for instance, King Crow can search the room deck or discard pile for an advanced monster room. You may immediately build that room. I know the one that looks like Medusa, hers is awesome. She can take a hero and immediately kill them and get yourself the coins.
Yeah, so it's a little bonus. It's a one-time use thing, though, but for such a short game.
You use it properly at the right time. So, know what your ability is, because you only get one shot at it, and hit that 5th room when you can take like a character that's going to be drawn to somebody else's dungeon or going to give them a free point or something.
A little more of an advanced strategy, as we've played a few more times is you can build ordinary rooms on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then at certain points, you'll have cards that allow you to destroy a room or rooms themselves to say they can be destroyed. When you destroy the room on top, the one underneath becomes active then.
It shows again, because you just pile them.
So you could, build up the rooms to get a certain set of heroes in. Like if there's heroes going for swords, you can build up your rooms to get more swords. And then you could destroy a room potentially to reveal the room under it to get another hero later on. It's kind of a complex strategy, but you can rely on the cards that are underneath the rooms you have to potentially allow you to get heroes later on down the road. So even though you only have 5 rooms, you have more options available to you.
Well, and some of them do bump up the room next to it. Like it'll say if the next room is a trap room, it is worth +2 or whatever. So you kind of want to keep track of your layout in general.
And don't solely go by this one's a 2, this one's a 1, because I had one that made it a 3 if it was next to a certain type of room in my dungeon, which automatically bumped it up, which is nice.
Yeah, you got to kind of build strategically, which I think is probably
another strategy. Is spell cards are hard to come by, but there are a few rooms. For instance, I can't remember which one. It might be this one, the Haunted Library. Yeah, at the beginning of your turn, you may draw a spell deck from the spell deck instead of from the room deck, and so you want to play those rooms to just make sure you don't cover them up because. Again, spell cards are how you screw each other over, or how you quickly make a room more powerful, and you don't get them very often. So any card or room that you have that lets you draw spell cards, you want to keep in play.
Yeah, there's one game, I think this last game we played actually, where I got my 2 spell cards at the beginning of the game, and I didn't get any more. So they're pretty rare.
Is that about covered for strategies that you can
pretty much?
Yeah, it's just.
It is a 30-minute game. We've already got a lot in for a 30-minute game as it is.
It's just build strategically. That's the point of the game.
Just keep track of what all your rooms do,
and screw each other over as much as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
What about our likes and dislikes? I'll start real quick. The art style. I know Adam said it before, but nostalgia all the way for people our age. It's fun. It's gorgeous. It's goofy. Very tongue-in-cheek humor.
Yeah, it's the art style coupled with the fact that they pull from these older games or other references. A lot of it's not even games. They pull from.
There is pop culture references.
Culture,
There's a Jeopardy type card with an Alex Trebek character on it.
Yeah, so art style I think is a big all around for our group.
Oh, definitely.
Probably for a lot of people.
Super portable. This is the whole box. Again, if you sleeve them, you're gonna need a bigger box, which are cheap and easy to come by. But it's a great, easy to set up, easy to put away game, which is nice.
I was gonna say, I do think that if it didn't have the 8-bit, it wouldn't if it had fancy art on it, it wouldn't be the same for me.
Yeah, if it took itself a little more seriously, a serious dungeon crawler kind of thing, yeah, I could see that. One thing that we talked about a little, and it never actually happened in the games we've played, but kind of a dislike I think for this group and maybe a lot of groups is the fact that somebody can get knocked out of the game. This is a game where you can get killed and you're out.
And then
you're come back.
You're stuck watching other people play. But then you have to watch other people play.
But it's a 30-minute game, and
that's
tops. We had much shorter than 32.
Right, but the likelihood that you'd be knocked out in the first minute and a half,
well, that's the one thing this has going for it is you can get knocked out, but you're probably not going to be a long time.
Right, you could run to the bathroom real quick and come back for the next game.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a. If you happen to be really unlucky, like I was,
let's say you did get knocked out in the first 5, and it was a full 30-minute game. That's kind of a buzzkill for me.
But other than that, it's a easy to play game, easy to set up game. Great art style.
I don't have a lot of dislikes at all, to be honest.
The quality of the cards we talked about, the black edges, starting to kind of wear down if you play it a lot.
Yeah, there's not even a lot of rules that I would say that I
think
the rule book is clearly written,
exactly,
which is nice. It's pretty easy to understand. It's actually a little ridiculously thick for how easy the game is, but that's okay. I'd rather them be too clear than leaving things out.
But yeah, it's a good game all around, I think. Let's get to our reviews then. We do a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, 1 being absolutely terrible, 5 just being, I'd play it if it came out, but I probably wouldn't buy it kind of thing. I'll kick it off, I guess, just because we usually go in this order. After all the games we've played of it, I'd probably put this game at a 7.5, I think. It's a good game. It plays really quick. It's got a great art style, a great theme to it. I think if the game went beyond the 30 to 40 minute mark, it might get a little tedious, just because there's not a lot to really do in it. You don't have a lot of choices. I think the 20 to 30 minute mark is perfect for this type of game. I think you can get a lot of people to kind of play this. It's pretty straightforward. You can get a lot of beginners in on it. You can probably draw a lot of them in with the art style too, the fact that it's that 8-bit look. I had fun. My downfall would be is the fact that you can get knocked out of the game potentially very early. You have to sit for 20, 30 minutes and wait for the game to get over. But other than that, I just had fun playing it. I'd play it if it came out again, and it's a good game.
Actually, I was thinking right around that 7.75, so I'll go with 7.5, because it's not quite an 8. It is a very good game, and like Adam said, it hits that right length. It's kind of a filler game, because you could play it between games, or just like, well, we don't have time for a big heavy game, look how late it is, but we could play a game of Boss Monster. And because of the humor and everything, and like I said, it'd be a good beginner game. If you're trying to draw people, and I know so many people introduced into like the gaming hobby through Munchkin, and this is such a better game. And it's still that tongue-in-cheek, goofy humor, and it's still card-based, and it's about the same price. Get this instead. And it's shorter, because Munchkin just drags on forever. So this would be a great intro game for people, like Adam said. And so I think that makes it and if you play games for a long time, it's still fun and enjoyable. I really don't have a whole lot of complaints, to be honest. It's a solid 7.5. It could use a little more variety. You can see the hero deck, and the epic hero deck isn't that large, so you see a lot of, the cards are going to come up again and again, game after game. The heroes don't have any special abilities, although I believe that might be in one of the add-ons. But and there are very few boss monsters too. There's only a handful in the game, so you'll see them come up again and again. A little variety would have probably helped the score some.
Well, I think it's right at a 7. There's a few things that I really like once you get through the regular hero deck, you get the epic heroes, which are a little bit harder, so if you have not planned properly, like I didn't a couple times.
Yeah, and suddenly, wow.
You're frantically trying to figure out, and since it's such a quick game anyways, it's really going. A few things I wish that you could get spell cards more, because I do like the Scrooge factor, and that really brings the game to life more. Otherwise, it feels like you're just kind of playing with yourself almost.
Yeah, that's true. That's about the only time you get to really interact. A few rooms let you, but it is
few
the spells,
rooms, but yeah,
you don't have many. Yeah.
You don't have a lot of. Besides the interaction of, you put the hero out and you look at somebody else and say, okay, do you have this or do you have this, or okay, it's my hero.
You're competing for rooms at that point, or symbols, but
you're not getting a ton of that. Otherwise, great game, fun play, solid 7.
All right, that's our review of Boss Monster. Check us out next week for another video.